represent, gotta do it hella big, had to run it back again. Light it up, represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again. Again.
Stop.
Gotta do it hella big, had to run it back again. Put people in the back, get them up. What time? Put people in the back, get them up. What time? Put people in the back, get them up. What time? Put people in the back, in the back, in the back. Put people in the back, 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 back. Put people in the back, 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 back. Put people in the back, put people in the back, put people in the
Morning, everyone. Hope everyone is feeling well and got a decent night's sleep after finally another good bit of news at Tottenham. Starting to actually look like we mean business. Definitely an interesting transfer there. 85 million, and we basically made Man U back off because they weren't willing to pay the money. Not to the extent that we were willing to pay it. I mean, the whole deal itself, I can't blame the player. He's definitely got a deal out of that as well. He was on 60 grand a week. He's now on, from what I've read, 140 grand a week. So he's definitely not complaining on that one, is he? And like I say, 85 million for that. Other things I've read, we all know what we read on the news. Some of it can be bullshit, some of it can be true. But also there's a few things going around saying that the price actually went that high for Fernandes because Southampton still have a percentage on the profit bonus that West Ham make. So maybe that is why it went up to the 85 million mark, because Southampton have got, I don't know, 10, 15% money back on the profit that West Ham make off the player. It would make sense on why the price went up that high. I mean, some saying 85 million, bit harsh. Yes, I do think 85 million is a bit pricey, but at the end of the day, it's not my money. So why do I care? And we have got a very good player out of it. I mean, I've been saying it for a few days now that if we want to bring these players in, people know we've got money. People know we are desperate to sort this club out. And they are going to put an extra 20% on the prices. Of course they are. They'd be stupid not to. It's business. Same as with the players that we're going to get rid of. I feel we're going to have to take a heavy cut on a few of them, which is a point I will get to. I'm just happy with this transfer. I'm happy with it's done. I've got my views on it where I think everybody knows there is a player I would have preferred to look at elsewhere. Would we have got him? Would he work in the Premier League? You can ask that with anybody we buy. Me personally, I would have loved Spurs to go for Manu Kone at Roma. For me, when you check his stats as well, I think he's a better player than Fernandes and Tonali. But that one's not going to happen. It's just a player I really want us to get at Spurs. Some say it's me being biased because everyone knows Inter is my second team and I love Serie A as much as the Premier League. It is just a player I would love us to go for at Spurs. And I think we would get for a price even cheaper than that, possibly. But again, I'm not complaining about what we've got. This is a brilliant signing for Spurs. It's light years ahead of what we have on the pitch. I mean, Fernandes over Gray. I mean, it talks on its own, doesn't it? I mean, he's a better overall player than Paulinho. If I'm going to just stick a man there as to just stick him there as the anchor man, Paulinho is one of the best about it, in my opinion. But that is all he does, really. He does get forward for a goal now and again, but I would still take Paulinho as a squad player, personally. Would Paulinho accept that? That, again, that's the questions you can ask. I still think if we waited till last day of the window and put in the cheeky 10 million euros bid for him, if Munich don't sell him, I personally think we get it because Munich don't want him. They want him gone, basically. They'd have to take the pay cut on him. And plus, of his age and everything else, he's a player that I would not mind keeping at Spurs, personally. For when a game gets a bit tricky, gets a bit hard, a lot of pressure on us, we're only 1-0 up or something, I feel he's a very good player to bring on the pitch to give you some stability there. But we'll see if that one happens. But going back on the Fernandez side, I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, yeah, people can say he's been at 2 clubs that have been relegated now. It's not the player that gets relegated, is it? It's the club that gets fucking relegated, not the player. It is the club that gets relegated. So we can't just go and blame this on Fernandez saying he's not good enough because he's been relegated twice. It's the team that gets relegated. It's the club that gets relegated. And you could say there's a few players in Spurs still that you would say shouldn't have really been fighting a relegation battle. But they were, because this squad, the way it just worked or didn't work, should I say, it just weren't happening. So yeah, you can blame the players just as much to blame, but it's the whole 11, it's the whole squad that goes down. It's the team that goes down, not just one player. So the fact that he's been in 2 teams that have been relegated, I mean, come on, Southampton, they were shit that year. That is probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League. And West Ham just dog shit anyway, we know that. And I mean, we seem to keep feeding them, don't we? Like every time they go down. I think we got a bit of history of it, basically, and just milking them off their players, their best players when they go down or nearly go down. That's a few times we've done that now. But either way, I can see in a lot of things, people are extremely happy with the transfer. Some are totally over the moon with it. Some people are very skeptical of it as well. I think you just have to accept that. Not everyone's going to see it the same way. But I think one thing we all have to accept here and take in is that this is a big jump. The fact that Spurs were willing to spend that money, were willing and able to actually have a fight with Man United, even though they've been shit over the past, 10, 15 years? Yes, they've won a couple of things. But if we're going to be honest, Man U are... Do you know a club who are compared to Man United? AC Milan. I don't like AC Milan. They can go do one. I support Inter Milan. AC Milan were one of the biggest clubs on this planet with some of the best history around. And so are Man U. But when they fell off a cliff, fuck me, did they fall off that cliff. They are nothing to what they were. And it's the same as AC Milan. I know they won a league recently, but compared to what they were, they're an absolute minor of a club. And Man U, compared to what they were 25, 30, 20 years ago even, ever since Ferguson's left, they fell off a cliff. But we are still fighting with one of the biggest clubs in football. We were still fighting with a club that has got a lot of money and more pulling power than we've got, especially now they're in the Champions League as well again. And it seems like they've got their act together with players they want to bring in. For once, we was able to go toe-to-toe and do the rounds with a big elite club. And we came out the winners. Why are the reasons? I think there's a couple of reasons to it. He definitely knows he gets game time with us through and through, walks into that team. But it goes to something I've been saying for a while now. Money talks. I know some people don't want to accept it, and I know it's not going to win every time. But money talks. Everything has a price. Maybe not always money, but everything has a price. Everything. And if you put enough money on that table, you will turn someone's head. Okay, bigger clubs come in. Do we win usually? No, but we won this one. So what if we go for another big player that is wanted as well? And another big club steps in for him? Yeah, it makes life 10 times harder for us. But if we're willing to put the money on the table like we just have, be willing to pay more money up front and put the wages down for the player, then fucking do it. Do more of it. We're not always going to come out winners on it, but money talks. For me, that is the way the world goes round. For me, like it or not, money is what makes the world go round and will always make people do dirty things, good things. It will always change people's opinions. It will change people. It will change people for the better, for the worse, players for the better, whatever way you want to put it. Money fucking talks. This is your proof. We have just outbid Man United. Whether it was they stepped out because they didn't want to pay as much, whatever else, we have just done Man United. Simple as that. And that's all there is to it. There's your evidence, people. Money does talk. If you're willing to throw it about and throw it about sensibly and pay the wages on top of it, you can get what you want. One of the biggest problems I think we've always had is the wages. It's not that we don't even put the money down for a lot of players. I mean, fucking hell, do we overpay for some shit? I mean, like Solanke, Richarlison. I mean, Tell must have cost us around about 50 million for money we've lost out on. But again, if you're willing to put the wages down as well, and I feel that has been a major part on what we have missed out on basically with a few players, you can get what you want. When Man City stepped in, they were really nobody. They put the money down on the table, paid the players up significantly more, and they started building up from there. We are now in a position at Spurs where I think each and every one knows of us. There is a lot of money at that club. And our income, to an extent, if you take out getting in the Champions League and everything else, take out the cups out of it, our revenue, our income is nearly second to none. The amount of money we make through being a club in London as well. This is another point I keep making. Man U, Man City, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Newcastle, they can't make on a match day what we do. Maybe Man U can push it because of the side of their stadium, but Liverpool can't even do season ticket prices the same as Fulham. They can't even do it the same as Palace. Why? Because up that end of the country, people don't pay that money for it. In London, I mean, fucking hell, we all know what it's like up London if you go clubbing up there and that. You're paying £12, £15 for a bloody pint. You'd say it's even cheaper in Ibiza, and that's fucking going some. So we have got the revenue to do it. It's just we have never seemed to do it when it matters. So I'm going to say hello to a couple of people and then get to a couple more points. And Tony, how we doing, mate? Big up Dan and Guess and up the chat. Hope you're doing well in Sweden, mate. And Andy, hello Dan. Hope all is well. All's good. Nearly got this place reconstructed now. And God, the sooner that happens, the better. It just seems like when you clear out one room, you then have to clear everything into the next room to then make space to that room to be. It's just been it's nearly done, and I'll be a happy man when that's out the window. But just been watching the Man U meltdown, piss myself laughing. I haven't actually watched none of them, so I am going to have to watch a couple of them. I think it will be amusing because it's not very often that you see other clubs have a complete and utter meltdown because we've done them hook, line, and sinker, is it? And Mark, big up, Dan, big up to you too, fella. Hope all's good we are. And Nobody, It's Me one. Different name, I like that one. 26 to 27 will be a great season. Okay. Great summer. So far, it's a good summer. So far, so good. But if we don't go and do nothing now, mate, does that basically kill the summer? And great summer. Look what we're about to have. A new Witcher DLC. Mate, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. And same as I'm looking forward to Dawn of Blood as well, I must admit. And Black Flag. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about here will know what I'm on about. And GTA 6, can't wait for next season as well. Mate, I'll be looking forward to all of them as well. And I'll just go with edits without one. Reading out some of the names, I just struggle with them. And even pronouncing some bloody names, some of the foreigners' names, just nightmare to do. Anyway, one of our tier one said this, ITK said this, bid for Tonali was set in a few days ago. Newcastle and THF's Tottenham are now finalising final deals. Deal will reach 90 million. I think Tonali is going to happen personally, mate. I think Tonali will go through because I just don't see any of the bigger clubs as such that need him to the extent that we need him and would pay the money to the extent that we will pay for him, because we are that desperate that we need to rebuild that basically most of that team. And I do like the way we are working from the back to the front because we are replacing the easier players to replace to an extent. It's easier to get yourself a right back, a left back, a central mid. It's easier to get yourself a central midfielder, a defender, even a goalkeeper. Then when we go up front, this is where it's going to get tricky. This is where it's going to show whether we really mean business or not. Because to try and get ourselves at least a decent left winger, inside forward, whatever you want him to be, and a striker is going to cost a lot of money. So we're going to have to ship out some of the players as well. But I do think the Tonali deal is going to go through, and that will look like quite a good midfield we've got there. It will look significantly better than pretty much most of the crap we already have there. And PFC TV 122, keep up good work, pal. Cheers, mate. Appreciated. I am trying to become more regular on here again. It's just like I said, for the past couple of months with kid on the way and everything, that having to restructure this whole place is just been very busy on the other side. More important things on football. And man like Danzo, big up Dan and Tonali next. Let's hope so. Mark, Cookie, how we doing, fella? Big up to you. If you want to come on, mate, I'll send you a link now. Always have a good chat with you. I mean, where's your thing on WhatsApp? I look at WhatsApp and all I see is like 1,000 messages on there. That's where I lose out on it, basically, on that one. So just going to put the link over to you quickly, mate. If you're busy, no problem, but I know you've always got something good to say, fella, and you always have me on your show, so it'd be good to have you on here to see what else you've got to say about this. So there you go, mate. I just sent you the link. And what I'll probably do is put the link on here soon as well, if anyone's got anything else they want to say about it. And also PFC TV. Dan, what are your expectations for Spurs? It's a fair question. If you'd have asked me at the start, I was once saying we are going to have to maybe look at lesser players as such for the situation we're in and the money we might not be willing to pay and the massive rebuild that we need. But for the couple of players that we've brought in so far, it's starting to up my standards a little bit. And with that, if you'd have said to me next season, give me 10th place, I'd have said, thank you. I'd have took a hand off for it. Because if we finish 10th, who can honestly complain when we've just been through 2 seasons where one, yeah, all right, it wasn't a relegation battle, but that was only because 3 teams were absolute crap. And last season, we basically survived. Why? Was it because of Kingsky's saves? Was it because of Paulinia's goal? Was it because of De Zerbi? Or was it because West Ham were just that shit? Just couldn't get the job done. Either way, we stayed up by the skin of our teeth. So if you'd have offered me 10th place, I'd have took that up all day long. But with the type of player we seem to be going for, and let's just say the team we've got now, no other players on it, the team we've got now, and I'll put Tonali on it as well, and we get Tonali, and then that's all we do. I'm expecting at least an 8th. I think we can go for an 8th. Now, if we improve up front as well, then I think we can be looking at between a 6 and an 8. Because we've only got 1 game a bloody week, unless we do well in one of the cups. So, depending on what we get up front, I'm looking at round about, let's call it a 7. I'll put a 7 in there. At the moment, I think we can push for a 7th as long as we don't get the injuries and we get that player up front. Anything 10th or higher, we really can't complain about it. We really can't. It's just where we nearly got relegated last year and 17th, 2 years on the trot. And then someone would complain about 8th or 10th place. But I think we can look for 7th. If we get Tonali in there, I think we can look for 7th. Because I do think up front is going to be the hardest thing to replace. And one Spurs king, we're getting Tonali as well. Yep, just said the same, mate. I think that's going to happen. I think he's pretty much there on a plate, basically, because I don't see others going for him. And as Man United, fair play, getting Fernandes. We are now looking at Alex Scott, and that's the other one I was going to say. I'll try and pronounce his name. Tchouameni, or whatever his name is, at Real Madrid. Rio Ferdinand was talking about that. That is one I'd definitely be interested in. There's another defensive midfield for you in Tchouameni. Good player. Real Madrid want him out. And it's another one Man U are interested in. But he'd be one that I actually see Man U willing to fight that bit harder for. But again, we've just gone toe-to-toe with them on this one. If we've got the money, then we can do it. But that Tchouameni one, I don't know. I think that one's a bit far-fetched. I think that one, I am definitely going to have to see it to believe it. But again, like I say, money talks. If we can offer more than them, why not? If you want it, at least try for it. If you don't try in life, you don't fucking get. So at least try. But that one, I just don't see that going through. Alex Scott, Bournemouth, I think he's better than what we got. So I wouldn't say no to that as well. But I want us to build on this first 11 first. And what you're saying here, I think Spurs can definitely get top 5 this year. I think you're pushing your luck with that one at the moment. That depends on who we buy up front. I don't think we're a top 5, even if we get Snarly. And plus, I think another thing people are going to have to take in here is it's not just Spurs on the transfer window. Yes, we've probably been the busiest out there at the moment. But other big clubs, elite clubs, are also going to improve their teams. Other big clubs are also going to buy players. I say rebuilding. I mean, we're not even rebuilding. We're building a team at the moment. Others have already got teams where they just need to add a player or two. City, Arsenal. I don't think Man U need to add that much. I think they need more depth now, being in the Champions League. But again, their first 11 is pretty good. Other teams are much further ahead of us, basically, in the aspect of they've already got a more than stable 11 there, or let's say 9 out of 11. We've got a lot more to replace, basically. So getting to a 5th place, if we've done that, it's pretty much a Champions League place these days. English teams do take it in Europe to the top, basically. We've been in finals consistently for about 3 years on the trot now. So I think 5th place is pretty much a Champions League place now. And if we get that, I think anybody is going to be happy with that. And then that would definitely have the capability, if the owners really want to do it, of take us up to another level. I think that's another thing a few people are scared of. The owners, basically. What are they actually doing at the moment? And you're also saying here, richer down south compared to up north. It just is, mate. It's the way it is. I could sell my place here and buy 2 4-bedroom houses up there. Why don't I bloody do it? And it's also saying really good midfield. If we get Tonali, that can then get us top 5 if we get a good forward players. That I can agree with if we get the forward players, but I think they are going to be the hardest ones. They are going to be the hardest ones to get there. We ain't getting a striker, Ashley. Do you know what? I've heard a few people talk about that one there. I mean, look, I'm going to put a link down here for anyone who's got a point on what they want to say with this as well. Seeing as others always do it. There you go. There's a link down there. If you want to come on and say your piece on what we've done or what you want to do, feel free. Links out there. Getting a striker. That is going to be the hardest one to do. Defender, easy to replace. There's enough quality or very good defenders out there. Central midfield, easy to replace. There's plenty of good players to go about. The further forward you get, the harder it gets. On the left and the right, we can replace there. There's good enough players about to do that. When it comes to a striker, it is few and far between. There is a lack of strikers out there, significantly good. I think if we do get a striker, it's going to have to be on quality scouting, because I don't see a quality striker out there that we could actually pull in, because I don't really think there's many, if I'm going to be honest. So would we actually keep Richarlison and Solanke? Because they're the two that would be the hardest to replace, basically. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens, sort of thing. So with that, I can agree, mate. That's going to be the hardest thing to do. And you're right, mate.
Yeah, what's up?
When I see the last picture of you after your fucked up night out before you get married.
Yeah, listen, I'm no longer single, ladies. Sorry.
What, you actually married now?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
although I'm not. I don't have a finger on my hand right now, but ring on my hand. Yeah, but
God, you
yeah,
know what? If I took that off, she'd cut my finger off. And let me just read out a couple more, and I'll be with you. And Lee, big up, mate. How you doing, fella? I haven't seen you for a while. Morning, Dan. Well, Fernandez and Tonali are good signings, definitely. Albert may be a bit inflated, yes, price-wise, but we're going to have to pay the extra price. I think we all know that. None of this matters if we don't strengthen up front. That is where I want to see the ambition. I agree, but that is going to be the hardest one to do it, without a doubt. And Ashley, lower than 5th is a failure. I don't think so. We have just finished 17th back-to-back, and we have just got nearly fucking relegated by a point, basically. So I don't think anything lower than 5th is a failure. But each their own. Whatever turns you on at the end of the day. Blonde hair, blue eyes, I don't know. But we finished 7th. I think we've done well. And international, big up Dan. And Bomber status activated on the next. This is 10 years overdue. Make it about 20 overdue. And for me, I ain't paying, so I couldn't give a rat's ass. I totally agree, basically. Mike, what do you think and what's going on at the moment?
Listen, I was surprised to see that we actually paid up for Fernandes, but I have to say that I don't know how to put it into words, but I'm not like super convinced by him and by the money that we spent on him. Like, he's a quality player, don't get me wrong, right? But
yeah,
if I were to spend 85 million on someone, it would be either Tonali, because for me Tonali is better, right? Or someone up front, right? And I've seen you mention a couple of comments already, right? That I think the biggest issue that we have is not necessarily in the midfield, although we need quality midfielders, right? We need to upgrade midfield too, but I think our biggest issue is up front. We are just toothless up front, right? We have Richarlison and Solanke as strikers right now. We have Tel as a winger, Kudus as a winger, and like Odobert and Simons are out pretty much until the end of the year. And Kulusevski, we don't know if he will even ever play again, right? So I think we have huge needs up top. And if I were to spend 85 million, I would spend it up top rather than on Fernandes specifically, right? And again, like, I am thrilled that we signed the player. I am fucking astonished that we spent 85 million on a player, right? I never thought I would like live the day when Tottenham spends that kind of money, right? Yeah,
especially when it's on a good player.
Yeah, exactly, right. But I'm like, yeah, sorry, because Ashi Satrici got 17 GA. Yeah, yeah, okay, he did, right? But that's like only him was the one that scored goals, right? And other than that, like, sorry, because like maybe that sounded that like I'm putting them all in the same bunch, right? There are some that are better than the others, right? In that forward line, although I think even though like Richarlison scores goals, he's a fucking awful football player, right? Like, let's be honest about it. That there is no beating around the bush, right? Like, you pass the ball to him and it bounces to the other half, right?
Like, yards off. Sort of
yeah, 6 yards off him, right? That he has to chase the ball every single time he chases his touch, right? But I would prefer if we spend that kind of money up top, right? Or if you are signing a midfielder, I think Tonali, I would be more in for us spending that kind of money, right?
I get where you're coming from, and Romero Lava Raid, that's definitely Mia. Thanks a lot, Mia. Appreciate it. You know, the thing I asked about it is, I mean, and everyone's allowed to have questions about it. Now, I'm totally happy with what we got, not complaining about it. But I do have my views on it as well, same as the rest. And one thing I definitely wanted at Spurs, wanted us to do, how shall I put this? I wanted teachers, not students.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot of people say they don't want players like 21 or under. They want players 25, 26, established, i.e. like Tonali, yeah?
Yeah. Or Senesi and Van Hecke, which I am fucking thrilled that we signed both of them, right?
Exactly. And Senesi on a freebie, you ain't going wrong there. Even getting Robertson on the left, I'm happy with that. And
so am I.
I think he's better than what we fucking got there if he stays fit.
Yeah.
And that is more what I'm looking for there. This is why I said for that sort of money, me personally, I would have loved us to try and take a bid for Manu Kone at Roma.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone actually listens to me on here, or if anyone actually follows Serie A, they will know Italy is up shit street when it comes to money, to the point that even Juventus are having to try and clear out. The only team in Italy with money at the moment is Como, and that's because their two owners are two brothers who own cigarette companies and are worth nearly 50 billion apiece.
Yeah.
He is a player that I think is actually better than Tonali and Fernandes. I think he's actually better than Tonali, and it's just a player I would have loved us to go for personally. 25, more established, whatever. But that's not complaining on who we've bought. I just think for that money, we could have looked elsewhere. But
yeah, and Manu Kone would probably be cheaper than that, right? Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be 85, it would be like 50 or something, right?
It's just the people are saying the one you take is he's no experience in the Premier League, and De Zerbi has said he wants Premier League experience. So it does make sense with Fernandes. And I think we have paid the extra money because we are Tottenham. Everybody knows we're desperate. Everybody knows we're not poor at the club. And also, Man U were pushing for it. And from what I've read, Southampton had a percentage of the profit of the sell-on, basically. Something like 10 or 15% or whatever. So whatever Man U made in profit, 10% or 15% goes to Southampton. So that would make a total understanding on why the price is so high. But anyone we go for is going to be 20% extra as well. Same as anyone we sell, we are taking cuts on nearly every player we would sell, bar maybe 3 that we could actually make profit on. But I think getting a player up front is going to be the hardest one to do. I mean,
especially in this market, like fuck me, like I try to like look at different leagues and try to find a goal scorer, and there aren't many. Like it's not like there is a 50 goal per game striker in the Portuguese league, right, or in the Dutch league or whatever, right? Like I've looked at the you can go on Transfermarkt, and I'm not saying you should do it right now, but I'm just saying to the chat, right? You can go on Transfermarkt and search for like top goal scorers in top 10 leagues, right? It basically just lists all the guys that scored goals in like the order of how many they scored, right? And like, let's be honest, top 10 is out of our reach, which is like Mbappe and Haaland and Kane and all these guys, right? Or top 10 or even top 15. And after that top 15, it's like fucking Burkhardt from Frankfurt, who scored like 18, right? Have you ever heard of him? No, probably, right? It's like a Como winger, that Baturina guy, right? Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but it's not like, listen, Como apparently want 80 million for him. Like, am I willing to spend 80 million on a Croatian guy who scored like 18 goals in Serie A? That's good, don't get me wrong, right? If he did the same in the Premier League, 18 goals scored by a winger, that would be wicked, right? But that's a huge risk. There isn't like especially the strikers market, right? Wingers you can make do with some choices, right? But like strikers, fuck me, there is pretty much no one up there. Yeah.
No, I mean, like Destiny says, Vlahovic is on a free. That's another one. Juventus did want to keep him, but they just could not offer him the wages that he so-called wanted, because Juventus are up shit street with money, same as everyone else in Italy.
Especially after they dropped from the Champions League, right?
Exactly. They're not even in the Champions League this year. I mean, if you actually go look at Vlahovic and his stats, they really ain't too good.
Exactly.
They're really not too good at all. If anything, his stats over the past 2 years ain't really been no better than Richarlison or Solanke.
Actually worse. No, sorry. Solanke is worse than Richarlison. Vlahovic, I think, is like similar to Richarlison, right?
Basically,
but then again, like
much difference between the three of them, is there?
Yeah. It's a huge, as I said, it's a huge risk. You either spent like 60 million on, as I said, like that Baturina guy. Let's say we spend 60 million on him, right? And he there like hits the ground running and scores like 15 goals, and we are all happy. Or he does what fucking vast majority of the wingers that are bought into the Premier League do and scores like 5, right? And we are still basically not much better than we were, right?
I mean, it's like what Ozzy says here, and I've said this before as well. Yeah, 20 years ago, you couldn't find a free, good, solid defender. They were few and far between, like quality defenders, but there were strikers everywhere, and it's just totally gone the opposite way round now. Do you think what we're doing at Spurs? I mean, the way they're doing it is the way I would personally build a club, and that's build from the back to the front, because I need my stability at the back and in midfield before I take it up the front. Now, I understand goals win you games, but for me, this is where I personally think a goalkeeper is just as every important as a striker. Probably the most 2 important players on the pitch. Goalkeepers win you games. Goalkeepers get you 15 points in the season.
Yep.
Same as strikers do. I'm not too happy with us just sticking with Kinksky. All of a sudden, he's had 7 respectable games, and he's number 1 and deserves a chance. Sorry, I ain't sentimental enough to do that. I'm not too keen on it, but I can understand when people say that maybe it's not our biggest one we need to replace. But it looks like we're building from the back to the front. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up just sticking with Solanke and Richarlison. Not saying that's what I want, not saying that's a good idea. because that is going to be the hardest position to replace. And instead, maybe getting ourselves another number 10, which we definitely need, because we don't know if Maddison's going to be able to hack it out, because past season, so he's been busted. Yeah. And Simmons ain't coming back for a while yet. Fine, Kudus can cover the position, or you can even cover it with Gallagher, but Gallagher's hardly going to create, is he? So I think we could get another 10 and go for someone on that left with the crap we've got there, Tel and Odobert. Where do we get the striker from? So do you think they might actually stick with Solanke and Richarlison? Just for like season, like they might be sticking with Kinksky and then look to replace it next season.
Yeah, listen, I think they will spend big in the midfield. I think we'll buy Tonali as well as Fernandes. And I think we are going to buy a winger. But as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't buy a striker. And I wouldn't be happy about it, don't get me wrong, right? But just logically, like I always try to like apply logic, right? Because we all can come on like the YouTube show and say, oh, I want the club to spend 500 million and buy fucking Mbappe and this guy and that guy and whatever, right? We can all do that, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way, right? You have to like look at things logically. Same thing as I always say, you can't sell 18 players, right, and replace them with 18 players. That's physically impossible for the club to handle the financial strain it would put on the on itself, right, after doing that. So the way I look at it, right, is I personally think the striker is the priority after the last season. Striker or a winger, someone who scores goals, right?
Yes.
But midfield was also like really important. So I think by buying Fernandes and Tonali, we fix the midfield. I think the defense is solid, right? I think we have cover in each position and we have actually quality backups in the defense, right?
Yes.
So it leaves forward line. But if we spend, what is it, like 52 on Van Hecke, 85 on Fernandes, now it's 100 million on Tonali, that's like fucking 230 already. And let's say we buy a winger for 70 or something, right? That's 300 million. I really can't see the club spending more than that unless they sign someone on a free. But then again, like other than Vlahovic, I don't really know that the names that would go on a free or on like really cheap, right? Maybe there are some wingers or strikers out there that have 1 year left on their contracts and you could get them for relatively cheap, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to stick it out with Solanke and Richarlison, because again, like I'm not happy about it, but if you look at it, it's like two 28-year-old prem proven strikers, like proven in a quote, right? But they technically have like an experience in the league, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Same thing with Kinski, as you said, right? I think they will give Kinski a shot. I personally think the 7 games that he played after Atletico were quite good, right? I think he was comfortable with the ball at his feet and all that stuff. But that's 7 games, right? Like he could be like super fucking pumped to prove himself good after the Atletico fiasco, right? And maybe now when the new season starts, he just reverts back to like not
if he goes and has
version.
3 shit back-to-back games, 3/4 of this fan base is going to switch. Why have we got this experienced goalkeeper here? He only played 10 games last season, conceded 12, everything else. He's got no experience. Why don't we get a proper kick? You know that is what will happen, don't you?
Yeah, exactly, right? So
it's a big gamble.
It's a big gamble. I would rather us buy a goalkeeper, but then again, the same point that I just applied with the striker logic, right? Again, like, would I want what was the Roma goalkeeper? Švilar, I think.
That's the one I want.
Yes, Švilar or Švilar, right? Yeah, I would love him, right? I think he's
30 clean sheets in 2 seasons. And
exactly, right?
And another team, Roma, that, like I said, I'll go and put 120 on the table and say, give me Sevilla and Kone.
Exactly, right? Yeah, I would love Švilar, right? But as you said, 50 million. Are we ready to spend 50 million on the goalkeeper if it means that we won't buy a winger, right? Like for me, a winger is a bigger priority, or someone up front is a bigger priority than the goalkeeper, even though I think goalkeeper is really important, right?
Well, I'll go to Romero in a secondly. I mean, that's obviously something I know Mike's going to have an opinion on because we've all got opinion on that prick. But, but like I say, for me, a goalkeeper is every bit as important as a striker. Now, let's say we get Tonali and there's still money in the bank, because I think there is personally. And on the FFP rule, we can probably spend one of the most in Europe without getting looked at. So the rumours go. And we're also going to sell a few players, I reckon, and get money off of them, not necessarily make money on what we bought off them, because none of them have justified making any profit on them. But if we go and get ourselves a left winger or inside forward, whatever, I don't know, people are saying Savinio. For me, he doesn't quite score enough goals. But again,
he's an assister.
But then for me, he's a lot better than what we got. What would you rather we do? Would you rather we go out and spend some big money on a striker that hasn't really done it big time yet? Because like we've said, world-class strikers out there, there's about 3.
Yeah. Kane, Haaland, and fucking Mbappe, I don't know.
Sort of thing. And then would you even say there's very good strikers out there? I don't even think there's very good strikers out there. There's good strikers out there. And practically any striker we got, I know you can say Solanke and Richarlison, it's going to be better, but it's still going to be a gamble as such. Would you rather that we just held on to Richarlison and Solanke and then try and improve them next year and spent the money that we could do a striker on a solid quality keeper, because you know you can get a solid keeper there who will save you 10 to 15 points in a season? Obviously, we get our left winger, and then we've got the option there of one or the other. What do you go for? Me personally, I go and get myself a solid established goalkeeper, because I know it's an improvement, and a goalkeeper is one of the easiest ways to play. Save the fucking ball. All right, you got to be better on your feet these days.
Yeah.
Instead of taking my chance with a striker that probably hasn't played in the Premier League and could end up just as bad as Solanke or Richarlison in the league. Bit of a question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Because I think that, like, the logic says that we should go for a goalkeeper, right? If you look at, as you said, because there are plenty of fucking quality goalkeepers out there, right? That you could just buy and
go for him as well.
And you could just buy them and have the position sorted for the next 6 years, right?
Yes.
And striker is a risk, but I don't know. Like, me personally, I think I just have a feeling that I would rather go for a striker, but that's not backed by like a solid argument. That's just like my personal preference, right? That I would rather have us buy a striker and possibly like sell Solanke, for example, or even just make him a fair choice striker or whatever, right? And because we have Kinski and Dubravka. Listen, is it the goalkeeper pairing that makes me excited? Fuck no, right? but can we survive on that for one season, right? I think we can. Can we survive on Solanke and Richarlison being our 2 strikers? Technically we can, but I think there is a lesser chance that they succeed rather than Kinski and Dubravka, right? Yeah. By the way, Ramos from PSG, I was looking at him and thinking that he would be a good choice, but apparently he's going Milan, right? AC Milan.
It's a very tricky one, isn't it? Because they're so few and far between.
Yeah.
That is where I think if I had the option personally with what I see out in the market, unless someone does some brilliant scouting, I think instead of taking the gamble, I think I'd go for the fact as such of what I know is going to be a good player, and go get Sevilla from Roma. People, go do some checking up on this fella. He's probably, I'd say he's probably the best goalkeeper in Italy at the moment, personal opinion. Yeah. And Atalanta have a very good keeper.
Maybe Mannion from AC Milan, right? But like he's the only one.
Yeah, it's out of them two. It's out of them two. I think Sevilla's had a better 2 seasons. I mean, 30 clean sheets. And you got to think, season before last, Roma was at the bottom for how long and had 3 fucking managers, and he still manages to get over 30 clean sheets. He's a brilliant goalkeeper. I think I would just rather, okay, I'll take my chance with what I got up front, because I've got my left winger there as such, and we will have other players coming back in. Hopefully more creativity there so that we can create more chances, and hopefully they would get more goals out of it. even though it probably would be like 1 out of every 20 chances. Let's hope we can give them 20 chances, and go for my established goalkeeper as such, because I know that can save me 10 to 15 points in a season. Like some people claim that Kinksky was the one who saved us from getting relegated. And we all know Vicario cost us games, but we all know Vicario actually saved us a few games as well.
Yeah. Like
Quality
he had a
shot
good
stopper,
start of
everything
the
else.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, quality shot stopper, but just absolutely shit at everything else, basically. So with what Lee says here, he says, Dan Mike, would love your take on the Romero situation. We all thought he was going, but right now looks like he will not be. What does that mean for the back line? What do you think?
I would fuck him off like to Saudi Arabia or whatever. Like,
yeah,
listen, logically, I don't think we can keep him in the squad, right? We have Senesi, Van Hecke, Van de Ven, and Danso, right? But I know people have their opinions on Danso, right? And I'm not super thrilled about him, right? But I just think he's just that like fourth choice center back, fucking, square head the ball out, kick someone, just fucking muscle.
no
up with
nonsense.
someone.
Centre
Yeah,
back.
no nonsense. Just does his job,
the job
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
6 out of 10. Like you can rely on him when shit hits the fan, right? You can go to a back three and put him in the middle. Like you can make use of Danso. My problem with Romero, and I know you share the same opinion. My problem with Romero is that one game he's 10 out of 10, and the other one he's minus 10 out of 10. Like he's a fucking liability every second game that he plays, right?
And third and fourth and fifth.
Yeah. That, right? And on top of that, as I said, we will most likely, I think, play 4 at the back, which means we need 2 center backs and 2 center backs for rotation. We don't need Romero, right? So either you sell Danso or Van de Ven, right? And then keep Romero. But do I want that? No, I would rather keep Van de Ven and Danso than Romero. Romero is too big of a liability and a coin flip for me to keep in the squad, right? That's the way I look at it, right? And if Atletico and Real Madrid don't want to buy him, because why would they? I guess Atletico really likes Argentinian players, right? So I guess he would fit the Atletico, but I don't know if they want to spend that much money, right? That much, or I guess any money, considering that they aren't fucking. Yeah.
What has he done to justify?
Yeah, exactly, right.
A big money buy. Since he's been with us, he's had quality games for us, but a majority of the time, he's been extremely inconsistent. And this is why I think he's an extremely overrated player. I don't like his fucking attitude. I think he seems to think the world and Tottenham owe him something. Like a bit of a Rashford. Would I take Rashford at Spurs? Yes, I would, because he scored goals. Do I like him? No, he comes across like a top prick.
Yeah,
and he's a very patchy player as well. But I think I'd be more willing to take that risk with someone who's going to try and score goals than someone who can cost me games because because they're just inconsistent. And I just think Romero is just too inconsistent. I think he's been a terrible captain as well. And then if we're going to be honest, a lot of people liked what he did by calling the club out, sort of thing. Yeah. I totally get that. I liked what he did as well. But then when you're looking at it from the other side as well, let's look at it from the business side of it as well. If I was the owner of that club or one of the main businessmen in there, I'd turn around and say to him, like, who the fuck are you? I employ you. I pay your money. Shut your face, you little mug. You're out.
Yeah.
Simple
exactly. I think that's what we should do, right? Like your services are no longer needed, right? Like find yourself another club. Just fucking good luck, right? Basically. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah. In that aspect, if you look on it from a realistic aspect, they've got to get rid of him. Surely you can't have some little prick in your team like going about and talking about it like that, basically, and expect to stay at the club as well. I was surprised he even kept his captaincy basically after that. And I think it might be that he wants to stay at Spurs now, because honestly, who would actually go for him?
Yeah.
And offer, if we paid something like 50 mil for him, 45, 50 mil, something along those lines.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
People are saying we should be looking at 60, 70 for him.
Nobody is giving us that. Maybe Saudi Arabia. Maybe Saudi Arabia gives us that, right? But that's like I don't know, like
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia doesn't buy our players for some fucking reason, right?
Yeah, you look at Saudi Arabia; they wipe their ass with gold money, basically. So, yeah, maybe they can, but honestly, I don't see anybody willing to pay anything more than what we paid for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I just dislike him that much that if we got offered 30 million for him, I'd cut my losses and fuck him off.
Yeah.
And I know
Mate,
some say that.
honestly, we buy a player. Yeah, we buy a player for 45, play him for 4 years, and sell him for 35. That's not that bad. Like,
he's not this world-class player that people make out. On his day, he's as good as most, yeah, as good as pretty much any out there. But just, I'm sorry, a 10 and a 9 in every 10, 15 games is not good enough, especially when you're having 2s and 3s in them as well.
Yeah.
You're right, Maz, how you doing? You there?
Maz just
yeah.
wanted to, yeah.
There you are. There you are.
Sorry, I'm working and walking around, and I've got to run to the phone. I'll mute myself.
Mate.
Well, you're doing 2 things at the same time. Be proud of yourself. That's more than most men can do.
That's why I'm looking to the other screen from time. I need to fucking control what's going on.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. I just thought I'd jump on for 10 minutes.
No, good. What do you think on Romero? What have we got to do with him? This is a question a few are asking.
Well, it comes down to how do you deal with mutiny, right?
Fair point.
The club allowed that situation to fester instead of dealing with it properly. Even though I sort of agreed with Romero when he done what he done, the situation just got worse, and then Romero started poisoning the team around him, and it's only since De Zerbi came in that you know the situation sort of sorted itself out. I guess he got injured as well, but you can't keep someone like that around the club. You got to get rid of them. So whether we get 5 million for him or give him away on a free or whatever, then we should just bin him off. If we're going to start acting like a big club, see, for me, acting like a big club isn't just about spending 85 million quid on a player. No. It's about getting rid of big players that think they're bigger than the club.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Ferguson is a prime example of that, right? Doesn't matter. It didn't matter who you were. If you cross the manager, you're out. Basically, it happened
to Ronaldo. It happened to Yapstam, which he said was the biggest mistake he ever made in both his autobiographies that I read and that. But
they had Roy, I think, as well, didn't they? Did Nistelrooy cross him? I think at one point.
Yeah, there was a few. Keane ended up getting kicked out because he had a row with him and that. They said, "Fuck off, mate! Like I am the Don. You will shut up." And he was gone.
And the history of the Tottenham. We've got a wonderful history of undermining our managers and not acting like a big club with certain players. So, in his specific case, we need to bin him off. Look, we don't need him anymore. You guys made the perfect point. When you've got Van Hecke, Senesi, Van de Ven, and Danza as a backup, why do you need Romero?
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't need him. And I would argue in a weird way, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people pushing back on this, but I would argue he's cost us more than what he's given us. Because in really key games, he's either got himself sent off, or he's been injured. Really key games.
Or he's done something stupid like run up the pitch and then not run back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, again, that's not to take away from his actual ability. And at one point he was scoring goals and he was, one of the best defender, wasn't he? But you can't be a part-time captain and a part-time player. And this is the problem. We've got too many of those types of people. Part-timers. One minute they love the club, the next minute they don't love the club. 1 minute they're playing, the next minute they're injured. 1 minute they're prioritising their international, and the next minute they're coming back and with their tail between their legs. You can't have that. Can't have that. If part of the club changing, going on this new path with ENIC 2.0 is start acting like a big club and get rid of the bad eggs in that squad. And he's definitely one of the bad eggs in the squad.
Yeah. it works in more ways than one. Acting like a big club, it's not just by who you buy as such. It's also how you do a lot of other things out there as well. And like the examples we use, Man United over the years, the manager over the years, and other clubs as well. I mean, you look at Chelsea when what's his face was the owner, and that even he stepped in a couple of times and told the player to fuck off, basically. Yeah. And it weren't even the manager that didn't want him; it was him that didn't like it. It happened with a couple of players as well. I mean, we've also got to get rid of players here, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah.
From what I've worked out, there's about 5 players in that squad.
Yeah.
That we actually make money on. Now, before people say anything, Sarr, I think we'd make money on because we got him so cheap. Not that I think he's worth any more than 25 million, if I'm going to be honest, but we would make money on him for what? Because we got him cheap. Bergville, no brainer. We make money on that one because he was so cheap. Vuskovic, another one, sell him. He doesn't want to be here. We wouldn't miss him. He's never played for us. 50 million, brilliant. He might come brilliant, but then he might play Spurs.
That one I'm a bit, sorry to interrupt, Dan. That one I'm a bit thing about. Like, why does he want to leave? Is it because like we finished 17th?
Apparently, right? No, game time apparently. Because
but it's bloody he was 17, 18 years old. Like what's he expecting to do? Start ahead of Van der Ven and Van Hecker and that? Like,
no. I think like it's exactly the opposite, right? He looks at our squads. He's Senesi, Van Hecke, Van der Ven, and he knows that he ain't getting regular game time. So he wants to leave to have regular game time. And
so you loan him, right? The club should be big club. Say, look, you're our superstar player. You're the future of Tottenham Hotspur. This is it. Like, again, to act like a big club, you've got to sell the vision to the players, right?
For me, it's you act 2 ways, in my opinion. Either, because like, I think he has 4 years left on his contract, right? You just walk up to him, say, listen, mate, for next 4 years, you are our player, right? Like, you basically can't do anything unless we decide to sell you, right? Or there will be massive. Sorry, come again.
He's young enough to do that too as well, because he hasn't
exactly right. So
other players to say to
you tell him, right? Listen, mate, we will loan you for the next 2 years, right? After or a year, and next year we will sell. I don't know, Van der Ven or Dance or whatever, right? And you will have your place in the squad. And then it's time for you to prove yourself, right? Or, in my opinion, a big club also, because we bought him for 10 million euros or something, right? You just skin someone for 60 or 70. And listen, would I be happy that we sold him? No, right? But that's a 6-time profit on a guy that we bought from Croatian league and who hasn't played a game for us, right?
A striker or a keeper or a winger.
Yeah, and you can use that money, right? And same thing with Bergwijn, right? Yeah, it's the potential you are trading, right, for money now.
Because the difference between an Archie Gray and a Bergwijn and a Vuskovic is Vuskovic has been a superstar ever since he was 15 or whatever old he's been, and every club he's gone to and every league he's gone to, he's smashed it. And was he the young player of the year at Bundesliga last year? I think he got voted, wasn't he?
Defender.
Did he get it?
I think he was young defender, and he was in the the best 11 or whatever, right?
Yeah, you can't, regardless of how he's performed in the World Cup now, you can't just dismiss his progression and his achievements. He could be the next big defender for the next decade. If he carries on this trajectory. So that's one player that I do think we need to hold on to and nurture.
I could understand why. I don't think he quite fits into a lot of styles in the Premiership because if you actually check him, he's one of the slowest ones out there. That is his letdown. He is slow on that pitch. He's not very, how shall I put it? Like Dragusin finds it very hard to turn round.
Yeah.
Where Van der Ven can literally spin round and run.
Vuskovic double-decker bus. Fucking.
Yes. Vuskovic is quite similar to that. And the thing I've got with him is take it like a game of poker, yeah? Sometimes you sit there and you have to cut your losses. Other times you're willing to take the gamble. Sometimes you sit there and you just take the deal because it's too bloody good. Now, 50, 60 million for him, 50 million, let's say, I'm snapping that up. Why? Because he could go somewhere else on loan, or he could stay at Spurs for the season, have a crap season, and then all of a sudden he's now worth 20 million. What do you do? Or he could end up doing really well, and now he's worth 70 million. Personally, on that one, I'm playing poker. Yeah, do you know what? I'll take the money and walk on that one. Because that can now go to an established player for the first 11. And then you look at other players. Van der Ven, we would make money on. Not saying that we sell him, but Van der Ven, we would make money on. And Spence, we would make money on. Again, because of how cheap he was. Same as Vuskovic, Bergvall, and Sarr. Van der Ven is basically the only one that we've paid serious money for that we would probably only make money that we would make money on. Would we make money on Solanke? Not a chance.
Udogi maybe. I think we also bought him for like that cheap, right?
Yeah, I think you're pushing your luck there with the injuries, but quite possibly.
Yeah. Well, possibly like we would get like 20 and we bought him for like 12 or something, right?
You see, Udogi is one of those players. See, I actually quite like Udogi. I know he's
so do I, by the way. So do I.
Yeah, I like him on the basis that of my impression I had of him when we first came to Spurs and how well he done for that half a season or 3/4 of a season that he stayed fit for. And he's also been a victim of the Spurs curse, effectively, about the injuries and the managers and all of that stuff. And if there's one person I would trust out of anyone aside from Conte to get a tune out of him is another Italian, is De Zerbi, because of that Italian connection. And he's still young, Udogi. So, don't know, man. Like, part of me thinks I'm sort of got the Dan attitude, just like F everyone off. I'm very much like that as well. Another part of me thinks we've got to be a little bit clever with who we get rid of, because what you don't want to do is cut your nose off to spite your face. But I think clubs would buy Udogi, if I'm honest with you. I think maybe not an elite club, but the cup below, like in the same category as what we are.
I think you get back in Italy personally, and in Italy,
Juventus or like Milan or other clubs to buy him. Yeah,
I followed him before he came here, and he was brilliant in Italy.
I did as well. And he was really good for Udinese. He was really good. I thought he's a unit as well. When you see him on the pitch, he's a big boy, So I don't know. I think he's worth keeping around, mate. Like, I don't think we'll get that much money for him. Maybe we get 20 million, 30 million, maybe on a good day.
I wasn't saying necessarily sell him. I'm just talking about players we would actually make money on. I think a majority of players that we need to get rid of, because I don't think it'd do no harm on making this squad a bit smaller, because we are only playing one game a week next season, basically. But then the way it has been at Spurs, we probably need another 50 just to cover the injuries. Let's just hope it don't go like that again. But I think there's several players there that we need to get rid of, basically. And I think we are just going to have to cut our losses on nearly all of them, the ones that we do get rid of, because none of them have done anything to justify what we paid for them, let alone extra money for them. I mean, I see some people saying that we should not accept less than 50 million for Richie. I'm like, are you fucking real? Are you telling me something apart from Saudi Arabia is going to come out and put a 50 million bid in for Richarlison? I don't.
He's old now, right? How old is he? 28, 29, something like that.
29, I think.
He's 29 now.
Wait, I will check.
Well, here's my list of who I want. For Spurs to start acting like a big club, right? And who I want them to get rid of. I want them to get rid of Romero. 28. Yeah, I want them to get rid of Romero, Vicario. I want them to get rid of. If Spence wants to go, I would get rid. I think he's got a bad attitude, the boy, right? And I'm kind of. I don't like that. I will get rid of
left and right. It'd be one I'd want to keep more to cover the left and right. But I can totally agree with you. I don't like his attitude either.
I want them to get rid of Ben Davies. I can't believe you've got to endure another season of seeing that guy's face, right? But no, like he's going to be at Spurs forever, isn't he? He's going to be like one of those guys that never leaves.
Listen, I know that might be unpopular, right? But I kind of understand why they gave him an extension because it's just because of the homegrown status, and that's it. I think.
Yeah,
Like
and
10th choice
coaching.
defender. Yeah, just like
Yeah.
leadership and all this jazz, right? But
exactly, right. I don't expect to see him anyway. I don't think he'll play one game for us
exactly.
next season. I want them to get rid of. Obviously, Solomon's going to go, isn't he? All of those deadwood players that we never see, so he's going to get sold. Sarr has to go, right?
I'd say so.
He has to go. We can't, again, he's had like 1 or 2 games where you think, oh, bloody hell, he's done good, where he's pressing and he does some little flick or something, or do a good cross or even nick a goal once. But he's just rubbish, isn't he? Let's just face it. Bergvall has to go, 100%. I think he proved last season that he just hasn't progressed. When he first came, he looked really like he had something about him. He looked skillful, looked like he could do something, but he hasn't found his position, what he wants to be. I think his positional sense is so bad. And he just runs around like a headless chicken.
Run forward. That's all he's got on his stats. He's run forward. He never passes. He never direct ball. He never delivers. He loses the ball. He can't head the ball. He don't bloody cross. And he has a shot once in a blue moon.
Exactly.
Maybe it's been Spurs that have held him back or whatever. But do you know what? I couldn't give a fuck. I don't support.
It is what it is, isn't it? I mean, we can't change that, so it's tough, right?
Exactly. So baked potato. If we can get 50
right.
do it, I'd say.
Yeah. See you later. I also think we should sell Gray. Again, he's had moments where he's looked like the best player because he's trying, because everyone else stopped trying last season. But I don't see value in keeping him. He's not going to get into the Spurs squad in the next 3-4 years. And why would you hold on to a boy for that long? What, we're going to hold on to him until he's 23, 24 to then give him a go? Like, it's pointless. It's stupid, right? When you think about it, it's dumb. He's not going to get ahead of Fernandez. He's not going to get ahead of Tonali if he joins. He's definitely not going to get ahead of Bentancur if he's fit, right? He's not going to get ahead of Conor Gallagher. So where's he going to play? Is it because he's a utility player that we're going to keep him?
Keeping Gray for that reason. And does he actually come under homegrown now, or is it another season that he's got to do?
He is homegrown now.
Yes.
But
we're talking about money.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about money, Dan, to your point, you could maybe get your money back or your 30 million back for him, right? You could. If people would pay, So I'll definitely get rid of him. Tell 100% he should never have signed for Spurs. He's a god-awful player, right? I would rather have, and I'm on record, I'd rather have Werner than Tell. Just telling you that now, right? Tell is just awful. He's flat as to deceive. He runs around, tries hard, takes the odd shot. He might get one in, once or twice in a season.
Yeah, that was in front of our own fucking goal.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there's and Odegaard I think should go. Right, again, sorry, mate, but you're constantly injured. Right, why are we holding on to these players? I think we need to be really ruthless.
I think we do as well, but we do need a squad as well. And just Ashley, you can't pick and choose who stays and goes. No shit, Sherlock. I know that. You're just picking players you don't like. No shit, Sherlock. I know that. That is what you do. Sorry, fella, but
that's the fucking point of this discussion, mate. Like,
what I mean,
obviously, we are not on the ball, right?
All football conversations finished now. Like all those 4 decades of me talking about football, it's all gone because I can't discuss players I don't like.
Allowed their own opinion, and I don't usually dig at no one for their opinion. But come on, man, they're 2 bad comments. I mean, seriously, you can't pick and choose who goes. I know you're just picking players you don't like. Fucking hell, fella. Like, seriously, I know that is half the point of these shows. To have a football discussion. If I could pick and choose who I sell.
By the way, Ashley, your Kane opinion is fucking diabolical. Like, I'm reading the chat and mate, like.
Either way, each their own. we all see it differently in that. But I think there's definitely a few players we got to get rid of there. Gray isn't one of the first ones I'd get rid of as such, because you can use him as utility. He is homegrown, and I wouldn't mind keeping him another season as long as he's nothing more than a bloody squad player. Does he get into that first 11? No chance. But keeping him there as a squad player, I would hang on to Gray over Bergville, basically.
Yeah.
For the homegrown side of it, and he has got a bit of a utility side to him, basically, if we are that desperate. Or maybe we'd play him in a early League Cup or an early FA Cup game or whatever. I could see the point of that as well. So, and I don't rate Gray, not at all. I think he's well overrated. He's not this generational one that people want him to be, and I don't think he's ever gonna be. But he's definitely one I would keep him over Sarr. I would keep him over Bergville. There's a few on there that I would actually keep Gray over, because of the homegrown side of it, and because he's more of a utility. And I think Gray's more useful to us than Bergville or Sarr.
I think with Bergvall and Gray, I think the only, not the only, but one of the important factors is, and someone mentioned it in the chat, is that in a year they will be club trained homegrown, which is useful for the Europa League registration, right? Because or European competition registration, right? Because there you need to register 8 homegrown players, but 4 of them need to be club trained, right? Because Davies, for example, is homegrown, but he's not club trained. Maddison is homegrown, but not club trained, right? But then if you kept Bergvall and Gray for one more year, then we can register them in the other part of the list, right? It's 17 internationals, 4 homegrown, and 4 club trained. And for the Premier League, it's 17 internationals and 8 homegrowns, right? So just in case of us hopefully getting back to Europe after the upcoming season, I think keeping Bergvall and Gray might be useful in that regard, right? Which is why, again, if you offered me 50 million for Bergvall, I would sell him right now. Again, logically, 5-time profit, right? We bought him for
I don't think that's a serious offer, mate. What is that 50 million based off what?
No,
how many games is he actually?
That's
what I think it's paper talk. I think realistically, I think we'll get maybe 20, 25, 30 million out of push for him, if we're lucky, if there is a club actually willing to take them on, because he hasn't shown anything. I mean, what is he actually shown? The only thing he's shown is that he can run around for 90 minutes, and he doesn't get bullied off he does get bullied off the ball, but he can hack the Premier League. So if that's the qualification for him, for a club wanting him, then sure. But that's the qualification of getting 20 to 25 million, not 50. I think it's a bit overboard. But that's old Gray and Bergvall, because if you sold both of them, you might get 60, 70 million. That's a lot of money to go into the transfer kitty for much better players. That buys you a striker, almost.
It's like looking at the squad sort of thing. Like I said, Spence, I ain't too keen on him. I think he's good at defending. Going forward, I don't think he's good at all. Whereas Porro, I think he's an absolute shit defender, but I think he's good at going forward. I mean, why we've kept Porro, unless we are going to use him to what he's good at and actually getting forward and crossing the ball, I just don't see why we've kept him and give him a new contract. I think he is a waste of a player at Spurs, because we just do not play him to his actual potential, like we haven't done with a lot of players. Maybe, I mean...
Well, De Zerbi, though, played him in the last 2-3 games. He played him almost as a right forward, right? At a wing-back right forward. And that's how I think De Zerbi wants to play him. And in that setting, he's a really good player. You know what? I hate calling our players really good players. They've really hurt me in the last 3 years. Under age, I feel really old and bitter about them when I have to say, on their day, they are good players. And I think Roberto De Zerbi thinks he can get a tune out of it. And I also think that the club think, you know what, he's young enough that we should tie him down on a long-term contract. And if we sell him, we get some money for him. I mean, that's the thinking.
like, look what's just said here. Coleman U Spurs. Say, for instance, we sell Bergvall and Buskovich, and let's just say a random number, we got 80 million for the pair. Yeah, I know people would be saying we should get 100 million for the pair. I'm just using a random number, and I'll cut the number down a little bit. Yeah, and we got 80 million for it. Or we just sell Vuskovic for 50 million, and then that 50 million we go and put down on the table for Morgan Gibbs White, and then also offer him Bergvall as well. Now, some would tell me that's too much. Well, look at what we've just done with Fernandez. 85 million is a bit too much, but it's not our fucking money. So if we sold Vuskovic 50 million and then go offer Bergvall and 50 million, and if we have to, another 10, 15 million to get Morgan Gibbs White, I think that would be a much better thing for the entire first 11 as well.
Is that Morgan Gibbs White, though, instead of Tonali? Is that what you mean?
No. Like, we've got the money, we're paying for Tonali. So we get rid of Vuskovic for 50 million. So that's another 50 million in the bank we've got. Put that straight to Morgan Gibbs White and offer him Bergvall as well, because they're meant to be interested in Bergvall. And then
my worry is that we're going to have a really unbalanced midfield. Like, because who's your DM?
Well,
Tonali,
are we
right?
using DM? Well, the thing is with Tonali and Fernandez, they can both sort of play double pivot, can't they? One goes forward, one comes back. One goes forward, one comes back. I mean, if you look at Tonali when he played in Italy, he did play a lot deeper, similar to Bentancur, but a lot better at it. As a bit of a... There's two types of box-to-box. You've got your box-to-box like Basuma, who hangs further up and presses forward. And then you've got your box-to-box that comes back a lot more, which we tried making Basuma do, and he just can't defend, who defends more, but also presses with a ball as well. You've got one that's higher, one that's a bit deeper. Tonali, when he was at AC Milan, he done the deep line playmaker role at times, and he also done the box to box. At times, he was played as an attacking midfielder as well. He's a very adaptable player. Very adaptable.
Yeah, but it's like I just worry that because they're adaptable, they're not great at it. Like, as in, I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not a Paulinho that can do that. You know, where he would just destroy and sweep things up. I know Saba made that argument yesterday that our teams are moving away from that, and I still don't know. I don't think I agree. I still think you need that midfielder.
Yeah, and definitely if we're having a game where we're getting pushed right to the back and there's 25 minutes to go, he's definitely a player you want to bring on to give you some stability on there. I would personally be quite happy if we bought him for 15 million at the end of the window where Munich haven't got rid of him. Would he want to come to Spurs? Doesn't he come to... Who fucking knows, yeah? That is the question you can ask all the time, yeah? But if no one else has gone in for him and that, he's definitely a squad player I would not mind there. When you look at people like Tonali and Gallagher, I think Tonali is a much better version of Gallagher as such. But I think them sort of players, they're a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none.
That's my point.
Yeah, I thought Tonali was going to be significantly better than what he's ended up. And I'm still saying I think you're a very good player. I followed him from AC. But the way he used to play at AC Milan, I thought he was going to end up like the next Pirlo, basically. And that's what they thought in Italy. And he just hasn't sort of gone that far, even though it's very far you're asking a player to go. Because Pirlo, there's one of the best midfielders you've ever been, in my opinion. Yeah. And it is a bit of jack.
He has been brilliant, though, for Newcastle when he's played. Yeah. But my concern is how many games has he actually played? I think he only manages 25, 30 games in total a season, you know. So what is it? Half the Premier League games is injured.
Well, his first, what was it, 9 months he got that ban for. I mean, AC Milan did the right dirty on Newcastle there. They knew what was happening. They knew he was going to get done. Tonali didn't want to leave, and Tonali basically got told, get out. And then he also had the fans turn them as well. You've got to remember, Italy is very, very different to what it is over here. If they want a player to leave the club and the player ain't going by the club, they will have someone turn on their doorstep and threaten their wife. Whether people want to believe that or not, go check up Italian history. Yeah, it will be, if you don't fuck off, mate, you're not going to be married for much longer. That is just how it works in other countries, not just Italy. It works like that in Turkey as well. Other people are not as forgiving as we are over here. England's supporters are not this hard bunch of supporters, ruthless, like we're considered we used to be. If anything, England supporters are quite the pussy ones out there these days compared to others out there. Other countries out there are a lot harder.
Yeah, but don't you see like a potential disbalance in what we're sort of doing? Like, I am a little bit. I'm excited, but I'm also concerned. I'm excited because, or skeptical. Maybe that's the right. I don't know what the right word. But it's like, on one hand, Fernandes, wicked, really good player. I rate him. I don't think he's worth 85 million, but there's pointless talking about it all the time, so let's just leave that. And Tonali, I really rate. I think he's great. So, and then we've got Maddison and Xavi, right? Maddison's back. Xavi's going to come back Christmas time or January or whatever. He's going to come back at. And it's like, well, okay, fine. So if you sell Bergvall, you sell Sarr, right? You're not going to re-sign Paulinho. The only DM you really have left is Bentancur.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you're relying on Conor Gallagher or Fernandes or Tonali or whoever we choose to do that type of deeper lying player to be one of those guys. And I'm not sure that's good enough. I'm just not sure that's good enough.
I think some of it comes down to is I don't think any of us actually know what De Zerbi is actually making at Spurs yet. Because if you look at the defence we've got, and there's rumour as well that we're also looking for Juventus defender because we get him on the cheap. What's his name? Bremer. Yeah. That we're also that they need to sell him basically because of money issues and that it keeps saying is in Italy. Even Juventus are bang up shit street. That they're looking at getting rid of him, and we're meant to be sniffing around him as well. And that one to me, I must admit, wouldn't make much sense. I mean, that'd be like 6 or 7 defenders.
Yeah.
But then if we're going to play,
unless we play back 3, right?
Exactly. So that's where I've got questions. What is he actually building here? And I don't think any of us actually know. I think he went to the 4-2-3-1. He took out the kid straight away, which is the smartest move he ever done. Because as soon as we had Paulinho and Gallagher or Bentancur and Gallagher, as soon as we had them 3 in midfield, we looked a lot more stable in the middle. We didn't look great, but we looked better than what we did with Graham bloody Bergvall or Sarr on the pitch. And I think he just went plan basic, plain Jane and simple, keep it easy, let's keep him in the league. And I think that was a very smart move. But is he going to go for a 4-2-3-1? He does play that way. But I've also known him to do a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2. I don't think we actually know what he's building at the moment.
You know why I don't think he's going to do a 5-3-5-2 or 5-3-2? Because what 2 strikers is he going to bloody play?
Fair point.
Yeah.
In that way,
maybe
you get away with
3, right? But
or 3-4-2-1 or something. I don't know. I don't think any of us actually know what he's building there just yet. Until we sell some players.
Yeah. Me personally, I think we'll play like 4-2-3-1, which is basically like you don't play with a 6, you play with a double pivot thing, right? Double pivot as in like, because for me, you either play your midfield like that, right, where these guys are double pivot and this is the number 10, or you play them like that, where this guy is a lone 6 and these guys are like 8s or whatever, right? And I think we'll do this thing, right, which is basically like
the triangle,
double pivot, that triangle that way, right? Which is we'll have like Maddison or until Xavi comes back, maybe like Gallagher as a 10, and we'll have hopefully like Fernandes and Tonali as that double pivot with like Bentancur and Gray, I think, or Bergvall maybe as backups. I think that's how he will handle it, right? And in that setup, you don't need like a destroyer type of 6 like Paulinho. In that setup, you need a destroyer like Paulinho, right? Because then this guy is isolated and he's playing like solo defensive role, and this guy is just occasionally come back, right? Whereas in this setup, you have 2 double pivot who is responsible for like controlling the game, which is like what Pochettino did basically with Wanyama and Dembele, right? Wanyama and Dembele were like a double pivot that controlled the game a bit deeper, right? And I think he will try to do something similar, in my opinion, right?
I mean, one thing with doing that, I think it also depends who you're playing against as well. This is what I talk about on adapting game by game, because some games you just have to use slightly different tactics to another game as such. Like I keep saying, if you know that game someone's got a quality right winger who can sprint down that side, you need more to focus on that. Whereas in another game, someone might have a solid midfielder. That's where you just have to adapt slightly game by game. And I think I necessarily don't want all the players on the pitch to play exactly the same way. I mean, if it's not going right for you and you take off a centre mid for another centre mid who plays exactly the same way as that one, and a right back who plays exactly the same as that one, and a left wing who plays exactly the same as that one, you're not changing nothing in your team, basically. You're not changing any tactic or any style. Yes, you're getting a player in there. Would he do better than him? Maybe, but it definitely limits of how you can adapt your game as such when you've got players that all play exactly the same way. I think the option we got in midfield at the moment, if we get Tonali, with Tonali and Gallagher there, you've got two physical work engines there. And one thing we have not had in this team is physicality on a player. Very, very, I mean, our midfield has been weak, to say the least, apart from Paulinho. I mean, Bentancur, okay, he can hold his ground, but he's very injury prone. So if we've got a centre mid, basically, of Gallagher, Bentancur, Tonali, Fernandes, I think that's quite a solid centre mid set you can look at there. And if we got Paulinho, I think that's great for it. But then that's playing five people trying to get him into two roles as such. And like I said, I agree with what you said, Mike. There's going to be certain games where you want your number 6, certain games where you more want the number 10 as such.
Yeah.
It depends what sort of game you're playing. It's like if we go out and play Chelsea, for me, you got to play a DM. If we go out and play Arsenal, we got to play a DM, certain things like that. I mean, Man City, you can push them aside because for some reason we seem to fuck them over every time. But then there's going to be other games against other clubs that aren't going to be so attacking where we're going to want the number 10 role and also the centre mids pressing forward more. Whereas you look at Gallagher and Tonali, they can both come back as well.
Yeah, do you think that Roberto De Zerbi thinks that Gallagher's actually better suited to be that DM, like with Bentancur? But the problem with him being the DM is I don't rate his pass. Well, at Spurs currently, I don't rate his passing, whereas Bentancur's so much better on the ball, right?
Yes. Yeah, Bentancur is much better on the ball, and he's better than a lot of people give him credit.
You buy Tonali, there's no way that, in my book, there's no way that Gallagher gets ahead of Tonali in any circumstance.
No. But it is going to be a good rotation on a pitch, and certain games, maybe you want more of the Gallagher on there than the Tonali, or more of the Fernandes, or you want Tonali. It gives you options. And where they are different type of players, you can change and adapt your game to the different game or what's going on in the game. Instead of having two players that play exactly the same way, and you want to change the style a little bit, I'd rather have a choice of a player who plays a slightly different way as such. So I've got more option of how I want to play on the pitch. I think it would give us a good choice of players there, basically. And you've got 3 of them who are definitely a work engine there, i.e. Fernandes. He seems to do a lot of running and also a lot more with the ball. Not so much of a physical player, but Tonali, he's got the stamina, physicality, and no one can diss Gallagher for his work engine. And he's definitely... Gallagher, for me, is a bit of a rich man's Papa Sarr. I mean, I know Sarr is shit, but Gallagher is a much better version of Sarr, the way he plays, basically. They play the same way. And it just gives us more options. And
yeah. I mean,
just we don't need him, but I think Gallagher, Fernandes, Bentancur, Tonali, when we get him, I'm pretty sure we will. I think that's a very good option for your choice of your centre mids.
It's good, but I worry that we're just not addressing the actual real problems, which are forward positions. That's actually our problem.
Yeah. I mean, this is a question that I asked Mike earlier. I still think a goalkeeper is a massive thing. Like, as people will know, I think a goalkeeper is every bit as important as a striker. I think he's the second most important player on the pitch, because the two players that can win you, lose you, win you cups, lose you, get you relegated, keep you up or whatever, is a striker and a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper can get you 10 to 15 points in a season and save your bloody ass, or win you a cup. Same as a striker. I think we get someone out on the left wing, but it wouldn't surprise me if we ended up keeping Richie and Solanke for the season, because getting a striker is not going to be easy. So if I give you the choice of, say, 60 million to go out and get a striker, which is only really going to be known as a good striker because there's about 3 world-class ones out there and there ain't even many very good ones. Or I give you the option of going and spending that 50 million on a quality established goalkeeper. What would you do?
Well,
Would you take
okay.
the striker, or would you go for the quality goalkeeper?
See, I think that Kinski is a decent keeper. I'm not going to say he's a great keeper because I haven't seen enough of him to call anyone great, right? But he's a good keeper, and I think that that last 7 games that where he played, I think he really proved why he sort of deserves to be given a chance. Because to go, you know, I don't care what anyone says, to have the character from having that one of the most awful games that any goalkeeper's ever had, you know, publicly like that, and just be ridiculed by literally everyone, not just Spurs fans, but the whole world. And then to come back and do what he did, I think takes a lot of character, and I think that deserves some sort of reward, if you get what I mean, because. And he did, and if you remember as well, in the last 7 games, he done 2 saves that were saves of the season as well, which is...
Vicario also pulled off saves just as good as that during the
season. I agree, right? But that's why I don't think at the moment... Sorry?
7 games don't change. 7 games don't change my opinion just like that. I'm not as... But I get that it doesn't look like our biggest problem, but whatever striker we go for, unless we go for someone brilliant, it's going to be a gamble.
Well, we kind of, but Dan, we kind of have to trust, right? And I know we've got trust problems as Spurs fans. We kind of have to trust that Roberto De Zerbi sees something in him, and that's why he signed the contract, and that's why it's going to be in the screen. Because if RD sees a man, and I love Roberto De Zerbi, it's like, for me, it's like the second coming of Conte for me, right? And I can't wait until he absolutely blows up and does the Conte part 2. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Right?
He's a bit of a poor man's Conte, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly, right? But let me put this out there: if we're going to spend if we're spending 80 to 100 millions now on players, why aren't we slapping 80, 90 million pounds and saying, Osterman, right, F off Galatasaray, come to Spurs?
It's a very fair point. That'd be extreme on the wages, but if we're going to do it, then go and do it properly, isn't it? I agree with that. I mean, it's just with just 7 games and a couple of good saves, I'm sorry, that doesn't make me feel safe with him. Mentality-wise, I can't fault the fella. Not at all. Mentality, I mean, literally, I'd say 99.9% of Spurs supporters thought he's never getting on that fucking pitch again. He's done. He's dusted. After what we see happen to the German fella at Liverpool and other ones who fucked up like that, I don't think anyone would ever think he'd be on the Spurs shirt again. I think he done brilliant on the mentality basis. I think he played well, and I think he made some extremely good saves. But for me, that doesn't all of a sudden say he's only 23. He's got fuck all experience. He played 10 games last season, conceded 12 goals, if I remember right. And those games were only, he played, what was it, 7 league games, Champions League and League Cup. I would personally rather go and spend the 50 million instead of taking the extreme gamble where I don't know where it's going to work. I would rather go and get the goalkeeper where there's, I'd say, a 90% chance it works, of a goalkeeper that's been goalkeeper of the year, had over 30 clean sheets in 2 seasons, and has been not far off bloody spectacular. You know, and get my 15 points there and then build it off of there. But that's just me, the way I play football. Because whatever striker we get, it's going to be a bit of a gamble because there isn't many out there, is there? And I ain't saying Richarlison and Solanke are going to do us no favours, but I don't really see any strikers out there apart from Ushman, like you said. I mean, Vuskovic, check him up. He ain't really been no better than Richarlison or Solanke on his stats. It's going to be the hardest position there to improve. So if I could get someone who can score goals on the left, and this is why I'm a bit funny with Savinho as well, I think I'm going back to my keeper and getting that solid buy-in, and then maybe count my losses up front and go for that next season. But that's just me. You know, I mean, Alex, how are we doing this? Well, afternoon now, mate.
Yeah. You still need to learn box office, but good on to you, Dan. Yeah, I only come on. I don't want to say too much on the players because I'll spoil what I'm doing on the channel, my channel. But one thing I do want to speak at the moment, which I've noticed it after Daniel Levy leaving. A lot of rivals are starting to get a little bit rattled, which is a bit weird, to be honest with you. Especially Man United fans. Seeing them getting really upset about this signing of Fernandes. It's like we've stolen their toy or something like that. You know what I mean? They've stolen their presents, and it's like how dare Tottenham get a signing over them? And I mean, there's two things I need to say on this. I don't think it's. I think there's a lot of people that are taking this as a victory for Tottenham, saying that this is showing us some on the map and everything else, and showing our hand now. And it has shown a bit of us showing us that we're going a bit of giving a bit of a big time about ourselves. I don't know the way.
It shows the money talk.
It shows that we're strutting our stuff at the moment, strutting our stuff, not the money side of things, it's strutting our stuff, but because we got the money, right? But it also shows. Let me just get to the point, Dan. Right? It also shows as well, which has been highlighted with the Man United side, that they did speak to Fernandes, and Fernandes said was very undecisive, right? So. In another way, they're saying because they've been burnt with spending a lot of money as well, big money as well before, right?
Same as
so, it's they can still look for other players. I mean, you keep on talking about Kone.
Oh, yeah,
you speak about Kone. So, for me at the moment, yes, it's showing ambition from the Tottenham side, but from the Manchester United side. They could go on and get somebody else and it could be even better than Fernandes. And it puts more pressure on the Fernandes anyway, right? That's coming in because
putting pressure on him anyway. And the other thing is with Man U quickly is Man U are used a majority of the time, even though they have not been the Man U that they were years ago, but with the pulling power they still have and the money they still have, you go play a game with Man U of like who can swing the bigger dick, and Man U will usually win in that aspect. Whereas this time, Spurs, who are usually known to be like only about 3 inches, we have actually done Man U on that one, yeah. In that aspect, if you want to look at that, they wanted to play who can swing the bigger dick, and we just did the Man U, and that is hardly ever done, especially by Spurs to a bigger club. And I think that's what they're complaining about.
They're complaining about it, yes. And I think that's also putting more pressure on Tottenham. And I know people will say, oh, it's the first start of the project. And I understand that. But unfortunately, there's going to be side eyes from the rivals saying, okay, cool. You've done that. Cool. You're talking about other players as well. I'm not going to mention them as well because I'll say my feelings on them as well. All right. So you put your first chip there, the major chip, right? Spending a lot of money. So what are you going to do this season? And there will be pressure. There will be pressure on the signings like Fernandes. There'll be pressure on the signings like Tonali.
There should be, right?
But Mikel, Spurs fans will say, well, it's only the first start of the season. It's only the first start of the season. Why are you going at them straight away? But this is what big clubs have to attend to every season, right? You know, when you spend the big money, there's always pressure.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
And we can sit here living in a Tottenham bubble, but if with other rivals, that's fine. You can block out the noise because I know Spurs fans like to block out the noise, right? They like to block out the noise because they want to be like saying we're on our own trajectory. We don't care. All that. We've done that for how many years? And that's why we've been in the trouble that we've been in. Right? But this signing has only just put pressure. It's even putting pressure on Roberto De Zerbi as well. You know what I mean? Because if you're going to start talking about De Zerbi as the Mona Lisa, yeah, you might as well do a painting of the Mona Lisa of him, because the way we speak about him is the way you might as well call him the Mona Lisa, all right?
He did basically stop us getting relegated.
Yeah, I understand that. You got the credit. You got the credit for it. You got the credit for it. But, you know, things move on. We do move on very, very quickly in football. And then you need to do something else.
But, Alex, one thing I would say, and I get your point, one thing I would say, though, is it's not as if Roberto De Zerbi isn't known as a good manager. I mean, he was a good manager at Brighton, a good manager at Marseille, right? And he's come to Spurs and he's done well. So I don't think we're giving him undue praise. You know, we're not saying he's the next second coming of Pochettino because he hasn't done anything yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think anybody said that. I agree with you,
there's a lot of people that have gone.
And whoever we go and buy, yeah, when you go and buy a player for 75 million, he's going to have to justify it, basically. No, he didn't pick the price, but it's the same story of Archie Gray. Archie Gray has not justified that we spent 40 fucking million on him, yeah? Not in one piece, in my opinion, yeah?
On Ndombele would be a good example.
Yeah,
Ndombele.
it happens, but then whatever season you start, the players that you've bought in, they're going to have to justify why you bought them. The manager's going to have to justify why he's the manager. It's no different to any season and to whoever we buy, basically. So in that aspect,
you guys know why Ndombele hurts us so much, because he was one of the few that we actually bought for that kind of money, right? Like, look at City or Liverpool or other clubs. They constantly buy 50 million pound players that don't work, right? But they don't bat an eyelid because they either sell them off quickly or they just take it on the chin, right? Calvin Phillips for City, right? That fucking no, what was the guy's name? The Liverpool bought him, the midfielder. I think they bought him from RB Leipzig. Not Nketiah. I don't even remember the guy's name. They bought him for like 50 million.
No.
I think no. It was like 5 years ago. The guy was
Kayate, or
that guy. They bought him for like 50 million. He fucking flopped. But they flogged him off back to Germany, and that's it, right? I think Ndombele hurts us this much because it was the first time that we spent that kind of money, right, on a player, and it flopped. I think I really like. For me, if you want to act like a big club, right? I've always said it. Spurs as a club and as a fan base, we have like, we don't know what we are, right? You either act like a big club, but then you have to face big club expectations, right? Or you act like a Brighton on steroids, but then you have expectations of a Brighton on steroids, right? That's the way I look at it, right? So if you want to spend £100 million on Tonali and £85 million on Fernandes and like £70 million on Savinho and whatever, then you have to face the consequences of that spending, which is that we should have expectations put on us, right? But that's also regarding the fan base, right? The fan base can't just pussy around and, oh no, don't put the expectations on us. We were 17th last year. Oh no, we are just little small Tottenham, right? No, but then in discussions against like other big six clubs, they act like we are big, right?
And this is Sorry, I was going to say this is why I love you, Mike, right? Because I just
say thanks to Dean for the super sticker, mate. Much appreciated. Go on, Maz. Go with what you're saying.
This is why I love you, Mike, because I was saying something similar on Savas and to Mark's channel today. It's like we need to acting like a big club isn't just spending 85 million quid on a single player thinking we've arrived. It's everything else around it that's really important. And you could look at discipline of the players. You can look at putting pressure on the players to perform internally and externally as well. And the key factor is what you said, is getting rid of them. So I want to get rid of Archie Gray because we spent a lot of money on him. He's been there for 2 years. I can't see him getting in the squad. We need to lose that sentimentality and say, right, F off, mate. Not cut it.
We are a very sentimental team. We are a very sentimental supporters.
Right?
I think.
And see you later. Same with Boba. Same with all of these players, right? And my hesitation a little bit with Fernandes and the money, because I do think the money point is really important, because Dan came in yesterday and said, yeah, he's a really good player, but we could have probably done better with the money. I agree with that sentiment, because if he doesn't work out at Spurs, are Spurs the club to be like, right, Fernandes ain't work, let's try and cut our losses and sell him for 50, 60 million? Do you see what I mean? We won't. What we'll do is we'll hold on to him for the next 5 years, right? And then it'll be worth 10 million. That's what will happen if he doesn't work out.
Let's try this one.
Doesn't it? It's like with Son. If we'd have sold Son a year earlier or so, we could have got significant more money for him. And that it's basically everyone loved Son. He was a quality player, not quite world class for me, but was a very good player. You could definitely see he was starting to come down a level or two. A bigger club would have already sold him a year before or 2 years before that, when they knew he was going to start coming down, bought a bit of money back in him, and then got a player of similar quality to replace him. We don't. We seem to hold on to the player until he's just a shambles, or until it just definitely ain't worked, and we basically have to give him away, like with Ndombele. A lot of other clubs would have realised by the second season this ain't working, and they would have had him out. No, we hang on to the player for 4 to 5 years, and the fans defend the player for 4 to 5 years, a lot of fans, and then complain that we actually have to give the player away or fucking only get 5-6 million for him, sort of thing. We're very bad for that as Spurs. We are a very sentimental fan base.
I would say this, right? And this is why I brought up the point, right? And that's why I'm glad Mikel actually understands what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Mr. Box Office can talk sense. So those people that say I just ran or bye to you. My point is anyway, is that, I think he's hit the nail on the head where he says that, we still have to continue and match to that expectation if we're going to put ourselves out there. You can't get the big talk and have the big below the belt, you know what I mean? And show the big, like you got big shoulders. And then when it comes to the crunch, right, just shrivel like a crisp packet. You get what I'm saying? And this is, and I just feel that until I see, and I'll stick by what I say, right, I can't get excited so much because I don't know what is going to be of Tottenham in the next year to and a half or so. Are we still going to have De Zerbi? You know what I mean? Because if De Zerbi does well, you tell your bottom dollar, that there's going to be loads of teams looking at De Zerbi. There was a news article about Man City saying that he was one of the guys that was coming in to possibly coming in to replace Pep Guardiola. So
with that, Alex, I think De Zerbi is another proof of money talks, basically.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have offered him the money that we offered him in that, we wouldn't have got him.
We would be in the championship right now if we didn't.
Yeah, and I feel we've also given him a bit more power than your past managers have had, of where he's quite possibly sat there and said, right, if I'm coming in here, I expect this money spent on me at least. I want at least 3 of those 6 players that I'm going for, and I want a say in what player comes in and what player goes out. That is how it's portrayed itself. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but that's how I'm seeing what's happened. I don't see him going anywhere soon because of the money that we have given him. He's not going to get a better offer than that in a job. I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's
come in and take him and whatever else. I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I'm just making the point there. I'm saying I'm just adding to what we're all saying at the moment. You see what I'm saying? I still think there is going to be issues. I can't accept someone like a Richarlison back in the team still. I can't accept that. I can't accept certain players that are still going to be here. I don't like the Kinksky thing, if I'm really honest with you. Yes, he might deserve his credit. He got his credit. He got his new contract. But still, a big club would look at something and say, well, yeah, you've had your 7 games, but to keep that his performance up and get it up to a bigger level, you might need somebody to push him that little bit further, and that's going to get a goalkeeper that is going to compete with him, rather than getting someone who's a backup. Which you know what my feelings on backups are.
Not many people do get goalkeepers that compete with themselves, though, do they? It's one thing.
I know, but the point is, though, if we're going to say that we're changing things, that's a change for me. You get what I'm saying? Not just offer him. Yeah, he might deserve a new contract, but don't offer it on a plate for him and say that he's the number one straight away. You know
I agree with what you're saying there, mate. I agree with that one person.
So you know, we're just going to have to. You know, we can take the plaudits that rivals are crying, but we're going to have to take the L's when things are going wrong and they're laughing at us, because that's why I know it's just, you know, it's just
football as a that's just football as a whole, Alex.
That's just football as a whole. Yeah, that's just clickbait. That's just clickbait, isn't it? So, you know, what I'm saying is at the moment, I'm kind of a half glass, half full guy. You know what I mean? Regardless what Tottenham are doing, because I've heard this for many, many years now. And I think that's, you know, we can see a change. There is a change. They do get a little bit of credit because they're sticking to what they've said at the start of the season, the start of the summer, that they're going to change and to focus on the football. So far, so good. But yeah, I think there's still a lot to do at Spurs to really convince Spurs fans, the hardcore Spurs fans, that I can include maybe Mikel, yourself, Dan, and maybe even Maz.
Well, I don't know about that, Alex. I see some hardcore Spurs fans just lately all of a sudden talk about ENIC 2.0 sort of thing. So I'll leave that one at that. But in that aspect, last question I'm going to ask, because I still got to do some work here. And yesterday, I got in big trouble the other day. Right, we get Tonali. I think that's going to happen personally. Say we do get Tonali, just say it's done and dusted. What is our most important player? What is our most important position to go for next? Most possible. Who do we go for that position? Whoever.
I think it's got to be a striker. Well, I think. Well, oh God, fucking hell! It's like choosing your poison, isn't it? It's like part of me thinks left winger because Tell is just awful, and we haven't got a left winger. So who the hell do you
replace than a striker, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right. Or a striker. It's got to be one of those two positions. I mean, if Xavi was fit, and you know, bringing up the old arguments that we've been saying, Dan, I think we're the only ones that were saying it, and I based my whole thing off the data that you gave about the split between Xavi playing off the left for Leipzig and the previous, not Leipzig. Where was he at again? Fucking
Leipzig,
it was Leipzig, wasn't it? And Holland and stuff like that. I think Xavi can play off the left, and he's done that quite a lot.
I think he was better off the left when I saw him than actually in the middle, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I know at Spurs it's a bit different because, you know, of the shit show we had last year. But if he was fit and he wasn't injured, then I wouldn't think the left side of the pitch is that much of a problem when you got him there. Because if you got Maddison and him, you know, you've got Tonali, you've got Fernandes. That's a hell of a, you know, quadrant there. You know, between those players to like change positions and move around and attack down the wings and stuff. If you've got people like a Doji bombing up the left wing, you know, that's quite a good on paper. It's quite, you know, it's decent enough, but we don't score goals. That's the problem. Like our biggest problem last year was scoring goals. Like you know, relying on Van der Ven, Romero, and Paulinho, for God's sake, to score the goals. And if we don't address that, if we don't address that, we're in big trouble again, regardless of goalkeeper and well, not regardless of goalkeeper and defence, but you know what I mean. We're going to have the same problems, right? Because we then can't put teams to bed if if we go goal down, we're you know, we can't get that goal back, or we're getting draws and stuff like that. So that's what I'm really concerned about.
No, I agree with that. But if we've got, say, for instance, we went and got the goalkeeper, we got a solid goalkeeper, solid defence, good midfield, and up front we ain't too good. I think it's a lot easier to play the game as in you we score 1, you score none, or 2-1, whatever, instead of you score 3, we score 4. Because the way we were last season, our defense was that shit, basically, that the only way we could play a lot of games was we had to concede, that we was going to concede goals as well, basically. And I think it's a lot easier.
But De Zerbi doesn't play that way. I know he did for Spurs for that 7 games, but that's not De Zerbi's way of playing. Like, he's very much a Conte style of football, but much more attacking than Conte. You see what I mean?
Similar to a Poch. He's more similar to a Poch in his style than a Conte.
I like a hybrid between the two.
Yeah. I'm just coming up with random options, basically, of what are we gonna do. So I agree with what you're saying. I think we should focus on the left, and because I just think the striker is going to be the hardest one to get. So if we can get a good solid inside forward or someone on the left, I agree with that one. I just think a striker is going to be nigh on impossible to bloody get. I mean, Mike, how do you see that one? I mean, who would you go for? Is there a particular player you'd go for, either striker or on the left or whatever? I think number 10 is just as important as well, because the other thing is we don't really have a solid number 10. Maddison's been broken for a couple of seasons, like past season or so, and had 2 mega injuries on him. Yeah. And we just don't know whether he's going to be stable enough to hold out more than half a season. Simmons has busted himself as well. How long is it going to take for him to come back? Kulusevski, personally, I think we'd be lucky if we ever see him on the pitch again. Yeah. And the only way who else have we really got that can play a creative 10 role? Now, I know Gallagher can hold a 10 role, but that's only holding it. That's not chemistry there as such, or Kudus even and that. But then we need someone on the right.
Me personally, I would go for the left winger. And coming back to what I said at the beginning of the show, I would be vexed if that was the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with Richarlison and Solanke as our strikers. So in that case, I would spend big on the left wing and get a goal scorer, right? And this is an important thing because plenty of people are talking about Savinho, and I wouldn't get Savinho if we don't get a goal scoring striker on top of that, right? Because then Savinho is a creator, he's not a goal scorer, and I don't care that at Girona 3 years ago he scored like 10 goals or whatever, right? That's not a big enough sample size for me to label him a guy capable of scoring goals, right? So I would go for the left winger. And do I have a name in particular? I really like Marmoush. I think he's a wicked player, but I don't know if he's even up for sale. I really like, I don't know if you guys know the guy, but he plays for Club Brugge in Belgium. His name is Christos Tsolis, like a Greek guy. He scored like, I think, 30-something goals in the Belgian league. I know it's a Belgian league, right? But he's been consistently getting like high
I wouldn't trust the Greek guys, mate. Wouldn't trust the Greek guys, honestly.
So instead of just having to throw the money about, basically, also do some good scouting in the process as well, because you don't always have to spend 85 million, 50 million on a player, a very good player. Do some bloody scouting at the same time.
Arsenal were interested in the guy I just mentioned, right? So maybe there is something about them, because like Arsenal have been lending pretty good players as of recently. So, you know,
I mean, you're saying Gakpo's an option?
Gakpo, I'm kind of like 50-50 with Gakpo and Rashford. I will throw him in as well, because like Rashford, I think he is a quality player and he scores goals, right? But the attitude fucking stinks, right? Whereas with Gakpo, I think he's like a humble, hardworking guy, but the last season that he played for Liverpool was dog shit, right? Like I've watched plenty of shows where Liverpool fans were saying that he's the worst player on the pitch and he doesn't score, he just, you know, he's selfish and whatever, right, on the pitch. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on both of them, but I still think they are much better than what we have, right? So obviously I would like us to bring them in because that would improve the squad, right? But I think I would rather have Marmoush over Rashford and Gakpo, right? And with striker, as you said, like I would like us to get a striker, but I don't know who. I literally can't name you a striker that, because like even Igor Thiago, let's say Igor Thiago, the Brentford striker, right? He scored like 22 goals or something, right? Let's just put aside that I think 9 of them were penalties or whatever, right? But still, isn't that like a similar case to Richarlison and Solanke? Like, aren't we risking the same shit that we did with Richarlison and Solanke, buying a striker from a lower part of the table team that had a good season? And it's just risky. It's so fucking risky to spend big money on a striker. So I think I could stomach us just sticking with Richarlison and Solanke for a season.
What about Jarrett Bowen? Or
I think Bowen stays at West Ham. I think.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and Balogun, I'm actually like kind of warming up to the idea of him, but I don't know if it's just like a World Cup hype because he scored like 2 or 3 goals at the World Cup, and I don't know.
I'm not that convinced of him either, to be honest. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but this is the case, right? I can name you plenty of strikers, and we will all go like, like, you know, maybe not.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's world-class strikers out there, but there's hardly any very good strikers out there. There's a couple of good strikers. There's like that. Any striker we get is basically going to be pretty much of a gamble, basically. That's like what I was saying earlier. I'd rather go for where I know my money is more likely to work as a goalkeeper or as the inside forward, left wing or whatever else, or the number 10, instead of just taking a total gamble with 50, 60 million and getting a striker that ends up no fucking better than bloody Richarlison or Solanke. I mean, is Ivan Toney an option?
But hasn't Ivan Toney just been too long away now from the Prem, and he's older now as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like I think that's like 3-4 years ago we were thinking about him, and he's 3-4 years older now, and he's not played in the Prem. He ain't going to come back and hit the ground running, regardless of how fit he is.
There is one striker that I really like, but I'm not sure if the club would buy him, and that's Patrick Schick from Leverkusen, the Czech striker.
Yeah.
I really like the guy. I think he's just slapping goals for fun, right? But he's 29, and like I'm not sure if the club would be willing to spend the money necessary to buy him, and I'm not sure if he would like to leave Leverkusen to come to play for us, right? Because like Leverkusen will be, I think, in Europa League or the Champions League. I don't remember where they finished.
It's another one we can bully on the money, though. We can bully.
Yeah, we could, right? Yeah, because
that's why I'm just lost our players. Even when they went unbeaten, they nearly lost all their players because bar Munich and Leipzig, no one else really has consistent money in Germany. I mean, Dortmund always have to make their money through selling and that. So I think that's not true.
Guys, listen to these names like Ferran Torres from Barcelona. Would you be so fucking thrilled to bring him in? Like that's kind of like there is issues with that signing, right? Moise Kean from Fiorentina. Does it like excite you? Not really, right? Like Pavlidis from Benfica. I don't know, like Alexander Sorloth, assuming he would want to come from Atletico. Who else?
From AC Milan,
Jimenez.
He looked pretty good. He looked pretty good before he went there and then scored a goal.
Jimenez, Santiago Jimenez,
Before he went there, he actually looked pretty. He was a good buy.
Like Dennis Undav, he played for Brighton, I think. He now plays for Stuttgart. He scored like almost 20 goals in the Bundesliga, right? But does it excite me to bring him in? Not really. Like, I would take a gamble, but again, it's all a gamble, right? Luis Openda from Juventus, or I guess from RB Leipzig, because I'm not sure if they actually bought him, right? Like, I don't know, Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Yeah, Vulovic. I mean, and he still wants like 300k, and he's like, you actually look at his stats, he's no better than bloody Richie and Solanke over the past 2 years and that. So this is what I keep saying in the aspect of, do you just sort of hold on to what you've got there and replace what you know you can replace with an 80% chance it works, let's say, or go and spend some serious money on someone where you're very 50-50, 60-40. It don't work. It's a bit of a tricky situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we can get.
But surely the argument is you've got Mamouche, you've got Osimhen, you've got Vlahovic. It's a gamble. But surely you just, it's a big time gamble. But surely you just slap the money down, at least for two of them, that Mamouche and or Osimhen, right? And you say, right, come to Spurs, because we know that they're really good players. Or Gakpo, that's a trio there, and you just bring them in. You have to start acting like a big club and take the risk on a striker. And then if they don't work, you get rid straight away. Like we just have to do it. What I don't want to do is because you know what's going to happen. Yeah, I'll tell you, this is what's going to happen, right? Richie's going to do well for like 5 games. He's going to score an overhead kick against some shit team, and everyone's going to be like, "You see, you just needed a better manager and a better system." Then he's going to get injured. Then Solanke's going to come in, right? He ain't going to score goals. Then he's going to have like a couple of games where he does well, and they're going to be like, "You see, you just needed a better system." Then he's going to get injured. Then Richarlison's going to come back just after he gets injured and not score for the next 10 games, right? Then he's going to get injured. Then Solanke's going to come back and then not score for the next 10 games. It's just going to be like that all season, you know?
You can almost portray it sort of thing and see that could
happen. And that's what always happens with those two players. And they only ever score a maximum of basically 13 goals. That's all they're ever going to get out of them.
Could you argue, though, with more chemistry, because we had absolutely no chemistry whatsoever, that there's more chance that they score a couple more goals?
No, I'll tell you why. Because we had Ange, who had the best bloody attacking stats, even though it was the crappiest attacking football I've ever seen, right? And he still never scored more than 13 goals in a season.
Yeah.
We had like the most chances created and all of that stuff. You know, they still didn't score. So why would it change?
I think them two are fucking awful, but I just don't see many out there that is worth taking a 60-70 million gamble with when you can improve another position significantly with a lot more chance that it works. With this striker thing, we are in a very fucking messy situation. Because there's just
but it's not as if Kingsley won't work, though, is it? Let's be honest. It's not as if he won't work. It's not that bad. He's proven himself to be a decent enough goalkeeper. He might not be at Lloris level or previous goalkeepers we had in the past, but you know, I don't know, mate. I don't like you said. I don't think any of us have got the answer. It all comes down to how our Roberto De Zerbi wants to play. Because if he is going to play with the lone striker, then we're in big trouble. Because then we have to rely on everyone else around him to score goals. And I'm not convinced that. Even with Fernandes and Tonali coming in, it's not as if who's going to get the goals. Madison will get a few, right?
We'd probably be better off just trying to play. We'd probably be better off to maybe try a Liverpool way or a Man City way where we just don't play with a fucking striker.
Maybe.
Yeah, but the players we're buying in aren't goal scorers. That's the problem. Like they're not getting tons of goals. Right?
Yeah, if you play with a false 9, you need goal scoring wingers, right? When City did it, they had fucking Mahrez on one wing and whoever was playing on the left, right? And they were both like scoring 20 goals or whatever. And Kevin De Bruyne was scoring 10. And
Martinez and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and Martinez and all this. Same thing with Liverpool, right? When Firmino, they had fucking Mane and Salah on wings, right? Scoring 30 each. So it's a really tough like situation to be in because like again trust me guys, I'm looking at the fucking list of strikers, right? And there is no name that is like basically
Oshman's about the only big striker that you could say we have a realistic chance of getting. And he's
pretty much. But then again, even with him, you can make an argument. He's playing in Turkey, right? Like, isn't that a much lower level than?
Yeah, he's 30 odd now, isn't he? And
he's old. Oh yeah, I don't want him. Yeah, I don't want him. Sorry,
Osimhen, I think He's 26, Osimhen.
Is he? I thought he was
Yeah.
old.
I thought he was
No, he's 26. I just checked.
Take it back then. I want him. I thought he was
Yeah,
old.
I thought he was about 30. No, fair enough.
No, he's
Shows how much
26,
I know
yeah.
on that one. No, I thought he was about 30. No, because I remember when he was one of the ones in Italy as well, where he wanted to go and he basically his family threatened and said, "If you go, we're going to do ya." So he stayed there, and then it was the following season. If you don't fuck off, we're going to do ya. Basically.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
So maybe that could be a realistic option, but that one actually, I think for me, depends on how far we're willing to go with wages, because that's when what is he on? Something like 300, 400 grand a week out there?
Euros though, right? Oh, it won't be euros, it'll be lira or something, whatever it is out there. But I'm sure he would take, to come to the Prem with bonuses and stuff, he would take 200, 250. Of course he would.
I think so. I think it's a realistic one we could go for, personally. It's going to cost us an arm and a leg, but we're talking about spending big money, and that's what Spurs need to do and everything else. Literally everyone we go for, especially if we go for him in the Premier League, we're going to be overcharged for it because people know we're desperate in that. But if you look at other leagues are very desperate for money. I mean, Turkish league works very different. I know that. I mean, they're not exactly.
They've got a lot of money there at the moment because it's all like
it's all
tax haven and stuff.
Whereas when you look at the Italian league, bar Como, nothing. France, bar PSG, most of them are skint, or owners have got money, but they can't spend the money because of the FFP, just like Newcastle, trillionaire, but can't spend. Germany, you got Munich. There's not many other teams.
Who's that player that came on for PSG against stuff and then against the Gooners and stuff?
Was that Gomez?
Ramos.
I know who you're
Ramos.
There's a couple. There's two of them.
Yeah, there's striker. I think he's one we can have a serious look at as well.
The Portuguese striker.
Yeah, and there's another one as well.
He's going to AC Milan.
Oh, bollocks. Oh, we missed that then, didn't we? Well, I was going to say, like, either of those two.
Right, but...
Yeah. Well, either of those two would be decent for us because they're not first team players, right? So why not?
It's just a situation where we're sitting here and literally everyone, and even in the chat, is sort of like clutching at straws, basically, because there's just fuck all out there. It is going to be the hardest position to fill, basically. Every other position on that pitch, you can go and get a good player out there and not even at stupid money. As a goalkeeper, I mean, as a striker, it is literally like gold dust.
Yeah.
And I just don't see who we're going to get that has significantly proven that they're even better.
There isn't any. There isn't any that will come to Spurs. There aren't any. Maybe Osimhen, but again, like for me, Osimhen is also a gamble, in my opinion. A lesser one than other.
Why is he a gamble?
He's playing in the Turkish league for 2 years. That's
but when he comes to play in Europe, when he plays in Europe and stuff, he still smashes in the goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, but Europe is very different, Maz. I mean, look, even Simmons looked great on the pitch in Europe, and then a lot of the majority of the time he looked lost on the pitch in the Premier League. Simmons,
I'm not saying it's a big gamble, but I'm saying it's like a bit of a gamble, right? Lesser one than, I don't know, bringing in like some shitter from
like
the Bundesliga, right? But
you go for Gimen, you go for Fernandez over Kone because Fernandez has got Premier League experience. Whereas me personally, I'd have gone for Kone all day long, But again, it's an opinion there. And also, De Zerbi has said he wants players with Premier League experience.
Yeah.
But
what about Leao?
Speaking of attitude problems.
Yeah, we love an attitude problem though, don't we?
Yeah, get rid of one to get another. So maybe our better option for goal is actually looking on someone for the left, like an inside forward who's going to come in for the goal sort of
thing. That was my point, right? I would get a guy that scores goals from the left, right?
Someone who used to play like Son used to play, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
More of an inside forward than like a winger.
A winger,
yeah.
And just have like Udogi or Robertson overlapping them and providing crosses. Just leave the side of the pitch to the wing back and allow the left winger to just cut in and do their job, right?
Yeah, because it's going to be.
I have to go soon, guys. By the way, so
I'm just about to finish anyway. So thanks for everyone for watching. You too. Thanks for coming on. And
lovely
Alex
chat.
as well. I'll be doing shows again soon. So everybody take care. Have a good day. Go
Cheers,
something
mate.
to
Thank
eat.
you.
Or whatever. Take care.
Bye-bye,
people.
guys.
See you later.